Good evening, folks. Brendan Dzwierzynski here with you from live inside Allen Fieldhouse. This time, stayed out of the cold for this game, recapping a Kansas Jayhawks 91-65 win over the Seton Hall Pirates on Thursday night. That win gets KU to 8-1 on the season, and it was a dominant win with a score that even Bill Self said he was not expecting against a Seton Hall team that going into this game was in the top 40 in the country in defense, according to Ken Pomeroy's numbers. However, they looked like they were overmatched the entire game by KU. And it was a group effort for the second time this week for KU to pick up the win. Earlier in the week, it was against Texas Southern, so obviously a far lower level of competition. KU stomped them in that game to the tune of a 32-point win and got a bunch of different guys, 5 different players, in fact, who were able to score in double figures to help lead to the win. In this game, 6 different players for the Jayhawks scored in double figures. The first time that has happened in a game for KU since all the way back in November of 2019 against Monmouth, a game that is more famous for something that Monmouth did in the contest. George Pappas, the guard for Monmouth, dunking at the end of the game and then cursing loudly at the TV camera and into the Allen Fieldhouse crowd. The scoring effort in this game, though, for KU, led by Kevin McCullar, 17 points. That's the second most he's had in a game this season. And coming back from an injury that he suffered against Tennessee, he did not play in the game on Monday night against Texas Southern, but he had a massive impact in this game. 17 points, 6 of 10 from the floor, 3 out of 4 from three-point range as well. He also finished with a double-double his second of the season, grabbing 10 rebounds in the game. 2 for 2 at the free throw line. Again, 3 of 4 from three-point range. He was cooking and really looked no worse for wear, despite, again, suffering that groin strain in the finale of the Battle for Atlantis down in the Bahamas this past week during the Thanksgiving holiday. Other double-figure scores for KU in this one, 15 points apiece for Jalen Wilson and Grady Dick. Maybe not the best offensive game for either of the two of them. Dick in this game actually started out 0 of 5 from the floor. His first 4 points of the game all came from the free throw line, but eventually the lid came off in the second half, and he was able to get to that 15-point mark, and he also made his last 4 field goals of the contest. Meanwhile, Jalen Wilson for the game, just 5 of 13 from the floor, did knock down 3 three-pointers on 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. He also had 13 rebounds in the game, the second most he's had in a contest this season, for his 5th double-double of the year in just 9 games. The incredible All-American caliber start to the season for Jalen Wilson continued in this one. But with neither he nor Grady Dick having overwhelmingly great games on the offensive end, Bill Self said it was huge to get that big night from Kevin McCullar, and obviously it paid dividends for KU in the 26-point victory. A couple other players who got in double figures, a few other players, in fact, who got in double figures. KJ Adams, he had 11 points in the game. That's back-to-back performances for KJ Adams Monday night and tonight, in which he has scored in double figures after having 0 double-figure games in the first 44 appearances of his career, 37 games last year. He's now 9 games in this year. The last 2 games double figures, including 11 points tonight. Before that, no games in double figures. 10 points apiece in this one as well for DeJuan Harris, as well as for Ernest Uday. Harris was fantastic, especially at the end of the first half. He does so many things in pretty much every single game where he's making the little plays happen. He's doing the smart thing. He's playing traffic top when he's running the point. He's got quick hands defensively. He does so many little things, underappreciated things well for this Jayhawks team, and that was no different in this win over Seton Hall. And for Ernest Uday, 10 points in the contest. That's big to have him and Adams both scoring in double figures. We have heard already throughout this season from Bill Self multiple things that he wants his big men to be able to do. It is a very young group, and he said in the post-game press conference just a little bit ago here at Allen Fieldhouse, look, none of these guys are going to end up playing like David McCormick this year, and you can infer with that reference that they're probably not going to play like a Udoka Azubuike or name any other fantastic KU center from the recent past as well. But it's good to see a couple of good games strung together by multiple guys. That includes Uday, who in the contest ends up, and let me pull up his numbers right here, 4 for 4 from the floor, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, did only have 2 rebounds in the game. You'd obviously like that number to go up with your freshman center, but he finishes with 10 points. That's a good thing to see for this KU team. They need to find consistent development down low, and against good competition, that is going to be imperative. So against the Seton Hall team that, again, came into tonight ranking pretty darn well, at least according to the KenPom metrics, in defense on the year, to get a guy like that into double figures, very impressive for KU. Jayhawks in total in this game, a couple head-to-head stats I will get for you. 37 to 25 in the rebounding edge, so plus 12 in that margin, certainly a positive. KU for the game overall, 33 out of 58 from the floor. That's just about 57% for the game. Extremely efficient. And that includes in the second half, 18 of 27. That's making 2/3 of their shots from the floor. An incredibly efficient half overall for KU once we got out of the break. 3-point shooting in the game, KU 7 of 17, 41%. That dog will hunt. And 18 of 21 at the free throw line as well for just a tick under 86% for the game. Seton Hall, meanwhile, they were held to 43.8%, so just under 44% shooting for the game. From the three-point line, they were just 4 out of 19. That was a big bugaboo for them in this one. That's just about 21%. They also had an effective day at the end of the night from the free throw line, but they started really, really slow at the line. They finished just 19 of 32, just a little bit over 59%, 59.4 to be exact. So for KU, that is the final game, the final head-to-head competition they are going to have for the next 9 days. Yes, they're not going to play again until all the way up on December 10th. So no games over the weekend, no games at all next week until the weekend. So Bill Self said, hey, they can give the guys a couple of days off, plenty of days to practice, which they really haven't had. KU has played 5 games in the last 8 days, including 3 in a row in the Bahamas at the Battle for Atlantis. So they really haven't had a lot of time to practice. He's also mentioned that a couple of guys who've been dealing with injuries have really not been able to get back in a rhythm. They have not been able to really improve on anything. But this is a week where KU can work on a lot, can get plenty of rest. And he said that KU is going to have no excuse to not be rested for the game against Missouri. Oh, by the way, there's the next opponent for the Jayhawks. They will take on Missouri in the renewal of the border war, the border showdown, if you will, coming up on December 10th. It'll be the first game since 2012 that will be played in Columbia as well. And after that, KU will get another week off to practice, to rest up a little bit. And they will take on Indiana, a top 10 team right here at Allen Fieldhouse coming up on December 17th. Those are the next 2 opponents for KU. But tonight, one final time from Allen Fieldhouse, your final score, the Kansas Jayhawks, the number 9 team in the country, they pick up a dominant 91-65 win over Shaheen Holloway and the Seton Hall Pirates. 8-1 now on the season, and with a couple of teams ahead of them losing this week, notably including Baylor, among others, KU may be due for a jump up in the AP poll coming up on Monday. We'll be talking all about this game and so much more coming up across the Sports on 580 Sports Talk programs on Friday. That includes Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton from noon to 3, and then myself and Dan Lucero as well on 580 Sports Talk from 3 until 6 on Friday, December 2nd. But until then, reporting live from Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, I'm Brendan Dzwierzynski.